right, there we go. Hey, this is the tea shop, and today I'm talking with Sheldon Wilkins from Chicago, if I have that right. And I've never met Sheldon till today. We
Right.
texted a few times. I'm really excited. Sheldon's doing some awesome things here in the U.S. and in Chicago, which is why I need to speak to this guy and get to know him. So, Sheldon, welcome. Tell us about yourself. Are you from Chicago? Which part of Chicago? Give us your address. No, I'm joking. Tell us about you.
Sure. Sure. Man, Conrad, before we get started, I want to say, man, you're doing such an incredible job. You're like the Joe Rogan of the AI community. It just, I think I watched I think I, if I'm gonna be honest, I've probably watched at least three of your episodes, and you're just getting to know people. So it's actually a great conversation. You're actually listening, which is awesome, man.
Yeah. Thanks.
I enjoyed it, which is amazing. So, great job, and I'm happy
Appreciate it.
you're doing this stuff. But
Yeah.
but yeah, well, I when I first moved here, I moved to Iowa. So
Okay.
when you see the movies, you think of the United States, you think of high rises. I I ended up in the cornfields of all places, but I loved it. There's no no doubt about that. I enjoyed Iowa for a short stint because I worked there briefly for a little bit, and then my wife lived in Chicago. At that time, she was my girlfriend,
Okay.
um, and we got engaged shortly. But I moved to Chicago. I want to say so. I moved to the States in end of 2014,
Okay.
and then I think I moved to Chicago mid 2015. So initially we were in the city, right in the heart of downtown. We
Mm.
now it's called Boys Town, because there's a lot of pubs and bars and all that stuff. It's right close to Wrigley Field. I don't know if you're familiar
Yeah.
with Chicago. If you've been,
Yeah.
yeah,
I've never been to Chicago, but I'm familiar with.
sure,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but now we moved out. And we moved into the burbs because the first thing I noticed moving to Chicago was parking.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
couldn't find a spot,
Oh,
man.
wow.
It was
You were downtown then.
Oh my goodness, it was terrible. Like I think even if you go 5 miles out, you're still searching for parking.
Yeah.
And coming to the States, and then you're so used to living in Iowa with like this, parking everywhere. And I said, wife, we gotta move. So we moved to the burbs, and now that's one less thing to worry about. But
Awesome. So you're married. You live in Chicago right now, in the burbs.
yeah,
And do you have kids?
I do. I got two kids. My daughter is 6. My son is 4.5. So a
Nice.
year apart. He was a surprise baby. We didn't expect it. All of a sudden, boom! But we were happy because
Yeah.
we had the girl, and then the boy was just a perfect,
Perfect.
you
Yep.
know, yeah,
Yeah.
perfect combination. So that worked out. Yeah.
All you need is a dog, and it'll be the complete picture for like a photo frame, right?
Oh boy, we got the dog too.
You
So
do?
that's yeah. My daughter ended up wanting a golden doodle, so we ended up getting the miniature version because walking it and then picking up their load on the road. That's one less of a job.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
but yeah. So are you based out of Atlanta or?
I'm in Atlanta. Yeah, I moved
Okay,
to Atlanta in 2003. Been here since then. Yeah, just stayed in Atlanta.
wow,
Yeah. So my
amazing.
wife's family is not too far. They were in
Sure,
Michigan actually. My wife's family was Michigan, Ohio area, but everybody's
nice.
now in Atlanta. So grandma and grandpa are close by. So
Okay,
my
yeah, that's
family's my
perfect.
family's still in India in Madras.
Sure, sure,
Chennai.
yeah.
Yeah. So you moved in 2014, right?
Yes,
What brought you
yes.
here? Studies, work?
So I was working in Coimbatore. So I lived in Chennai all my life, but right after college, I cut my long hair and trimmed my beard down, and I moved to Coimbatore because I found a job there, and I was there for about 4.5 years. So through them, I came to the States. So I came on a visa, like most of us do, right? And then from there, I kind of moved on because um, the wife was in Chicago, had to make some decisions, and her family lives in Chicago for the longest time. It made no sense to, pull her out from her family to move to a place. So I said, I don't have strings attached, so it's a little easier for me to do. So, that kind of what happened. Yeah.
So is your wife like Caucasian, or is she Anglo? What's
I
her?
get that a lot. She's Anglo Indian too. She's
Oh,
from
really?
Hyderabad. Yeah.
Nice. So did you just two Anglos met up in Chicago and Iowa, or did you know her in India?
So a funny story. So a friend of mine, mutual friend, Marissa Blade, she's based out of London now. So she studied with me in Dufton Corey. So that's where I studied. I
Yeah.
think you studied in Matthias. I
Yeah.
did a small little
Yes.
bio on you, so I figured you're.
Nice.
Yeah. So she was a mutual friend, and then I think we connected through Facebook, my wife and I. And it was, I was like, oh, where are you at? You're Anglo Indian? Oh, wow, you're in the States? Because just like everyone else, we thought there's no Anglo Indians in the States, right? We're like the searching for the aliens in in space. But yeah, so she's Anglo Indian. I get that a lot. All my friends think she's white, and I have to say no. Just hear her talk first, and then you'll know she's not. But that's it. Yeah, that's how we met, and then eventually. So his sister is also lives in the area. Her mom worked for the famous Patel brothers. I don't know if you
Yeah,
have a
they've
Patel.
opened up a store here down the road. I mean, not down the road, but like 10 minutes away. Yeah.
Yeah, those guys are insane. I mean, they got stores pretty. They're like the Walmart of Indian groceries. They're in
Yeah.
every state.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They put up.
So she
Sorry, go ahead, man. I want to hear you.
No. I was gonna say, so to finish my point, I was gonna say that her mom used to work for Patel Brothers. Oh my goodness, this is like I don't know, maybe early 2000s or even before that. So at that time, he just had like Indian restaurants.
Yeah.
So he was not even into groceries. He had a small grocery store, but not really that big. But that's how her mom came here, and then eventually, they moved here and stuff. But I cut you off. What were you gonna say?
No, I don't know, but I was saying, yeah, it is like the Walmart. We used to go. There were a lot of smaller Indian stores. Normally, you'd find them next to the restaurant, right? It's probably the
Right.
same family, but ever since Patel Brothers opened up, I feel bad because I just go there. It's like putting out the mom and pop shops out of business.
You're right.
You
You're
know,
right.
they are
You're
like
right.
Walmart in that sense. You know,
They are. It's crazy because they even doing things that Walmart does, because Walmart has their own brand, right? What is it called? Essentials? I don't remember. It's called something. And these guys have their own brands too. I don't know if you saw the Swath brand. You'll
really.
you'll sort of see all of their brands like in pretty much everything from raisins to like
Yeah,
to the dals and their
yeah,
spices.
yeah.
So they've
The
taken over, man.
The only thing I would say to their disadvantages, they are purely vegetarian, which is fine, which is most of the
Sure.
Indian community, but most of the Indian stores have like a separate, like, you can go
Aisle.
halal meats in the back.
Interesting. So in Chicago, we have meats. They sell meat in there.
In
They sell
Patel Brothers,
fish. Yeah, they sell fish. They sell sheikh kebabs. All the frozen stuff. I don't think they have like an actual butcher shop like how
yeah,
they
yeah.
do, but they do have an aisle like in the frozen section where you get the fish and all of that. When my mom comes here, she enjoys going to Patel Brothers because it's like a haven. It's like get me out of the house. Where we going? Patel Brothers. So yeah. Yeah.
So tell me, man, I want to know. The Wilkins name is, and you went to Dufton. Am I putting two and two together?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not from. I mean, I'm not the famous family. I'm not from the nuclear core family.
got it. Okay,
Well, the president of the Anglo, I mean, at that time it was Anglo Indian. Now it's just Dufton Group of Schools.
yeah.
So he is my uncle. So he's my
Okay,
dad's brother. And Ian, which I believe you may be familiar with, you guys are probably in the same age group, or or not.
Sheldon
So
Wilkins, maybe, I don't know. My memory is so
yeah,
bad. If I see him, maybe.
sure, sure. So he's his son, and the daughter's name is Andrea. So I'm the brother's son.
Okay.
But because of the last name stamp, I was
Yes.
always in the limelight.
Yes.
Am I have to walk their talk. Unfortunately, and fortunately too, it kind of helped me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Early on, right? But yeah,
He's a good man. I think, honest, I did not know much about him till my dad. He passed away a couple of years ago, but he was the president of some Anglo Indian association in Ainavaram, and I think Mr. Wilkins and him became friends through that.
friends. Right.
Yeah.
So
So
what was your dad's name?
Henry Abraham.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice,
So
nice.
did
Yeah,
you? So yeah, go ahead.
I think through the process, is it okay if I ask you questions just so that
Absolutely.
because I
Absolutely.
think through the process, it'd be nice to get to know you too, if that's all right.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah, man. It's totally open ended. Yeah,
Okay, good.
you can turn this around and do it.
Make this about you. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, exactly.
hack the host role.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it,
So
man.
so Ainavaram, you said. So is that are you close to Metur Street? Was that where you stayed?
No, no, I do not. It's weird because in that area, at this point in time, we were staying in like Jawahar Nagar and Periyar Nagar area,
Okay. Okay.
but there's so few people between Ainavaram and that area, it was lumped into one thing. So
Okay.
we
Yeah.
were under the Ainavaram Association, although we were closer to Perambur
Sure.
geographically. Yeah.
Sure.
So did you grow up in the Dufton area? In the
So
No, what's that? Persoagam, yes.
no. So I went to school there,
Okay.
but I used to take the what is it 29C bus. It
Yes.
used to take me back to Madhavaram. Most of the time, we traveled by these vans. These schools had these vans, right? We
Yeah.
used to jump in it, and like mom,
Yeah.
dad used to pay like 500-600 bucks a month, and it takes you to and fro. But as I got older, I started taking the bus. But I used to live in Madhavaram,
Okay.
which is probably about I want to say 3 miles or 5 kilometers away from Jawaharnagar.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know if you remember the Saint Sebastian's Church in
Vaguely.
Madhavaram.
Yes. Yes. I think I had cousins or second cousins who lived in Madhavaram area. Yeah.
Right, right. It's funny. It's the ones that was like, oh my God, I can't afford to buy in Perambur. Let me go further.
Yes.
It used to be, well, at least as far as what my mom and dad used to tell me, it used to be mango fields, just manga topu everywhere there. All the manga tops there with all the mangoes, fresh mangoes, and they used to have this massive go down of mangoes.
In
So during May, when you're going that side, it just smells so sweet, you know, because all of these mangoes are just thrown on the ground like
Yeah.
like milk and honey, like it's
Yeah.
land of milk and honey.
Yeah.
But now they've just built, all over. But at least there's still fresh water. The water is still tasting sweet, the groundwater there,
Oh, nice.
because of, I guess it's, all of those minerals and all of that still in the open. But
I
yeah, I mean, it's all built up now. I go at least 4 to 6 times a year. Now it's gotten like a penance, but, because I have an office there, so I'm forced to do it. So still, but it's so interesting. Every time I go back,
Yeah.
something's changed. It
Yeah.
just doesn't look the same.
Yes. Yes.
It's incredible.
You go that frequently, and you see change. Yeah, because I'm sure you see some incremental change. I go once every 3 years, maybe 2 years, and it's like dramatic change. Like, what's the flyover? And
Right.
it changes so dramatically. So,
Yeah.
so did you grow up? Are you like a Madras native, or did you grow up? Was that your first house that
Yes.
you remember? Okay,
Yes.
nice.
Yes. I have not. I mean, I've never lived outside the city till I was maybe 20 years old.
Mm.
So the first 20 of years of my life was in Chennai, like we used to call it Madras,
Yeah.
right? Now it's Chennai, but yeah, I mean, I early on, I went to school locally for like kindergarten stuff in the area, and then I started in Dufton from first to 12th grade, 12th standard, as we call it back home.
Which year?
And
Sorry, go ahead, man. Tell me.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Which year do you, so I'm probably a couple of, well, not a couple, more than a couple of years older than you. So I'm not sure if you know, I see you're friends with Fabian Johnson and Lyndon,
Yeah.
maybe Lyndon Baldry, but I was probably their age group and I passed.
Timmy Vanderput. Yeah.
What's that?
Timmy, is Timmy your
Yeah,
batch doers
Vanderbilt,
or?
I was with him. I don't remember, honestly, I don't remember him so much in Dufton, if he did go to Dufton, but I was with him
Sure.
in Loyola for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I graduated college in 2011. So I studied in Loyola too. So I
Oh, really?
finished. Yeah. Yeah. So 2008, I passed out of school, Dufton, 2008, and then I finished. I mean, I think I was probably the only Anglo Indian, as far as I was aware, in my stream. So I did computer science. Um, at least in my batch, I was the only one. But no, I stand corrected. It was another friend of mine from Dufton. His name is Denver Kito. So it was two of us.
That's familiar.
And yeah, he's from, I think he was from Jawaharnagar
Okay.
too.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
Kito name sounds very familiar.
yeah, the Kitos. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's doing great too. The dude is now, I think he works for BMO Harris. He's doing great. I think he's got two kids too now, and we went to Loyola together, and I computer science. We did the afternoon shift. Like the second shift as they call it. At
Right.
back then, I think it was evening college. Or
Yeah,
now
evening college, yeah.
now they changed it to shift two, and I was the last name on the fourth list release. I think I was a backup for the backups that made it. And I'm like searching. I said, first list, I'm not there. Okay, second list. Now I'm thinking, what's my backup options? Which college do I go look? It's past time. But yeah, we
Hilarious.
got lucky.
And so your wife grew up in Hyderabad, so she has a totally different experience growing up there, going to college. How about your parents? Where did they? What's the names? Did they grow up? Are they Madras natives as well?
So the Wilkins themselves are not from Madras. Interestingly, they came in and took over. Let's just. But the Wilkins are originally from Trichy,
Okay.
so they're Trichy natives. My grandfather was in the British Army, so there was a lot of there was a street named after the family called the Wilkins Street. Now
Nice.
whoever bought it up, took over. But there was a lot of it was a family of, I want to say, how many? That's a lot to count, but I think five or six siblings. My dad was the youngest of them all, and I think my uncle, which is Hugh Wilkins, so he was the first one to lead them out to Chennai, and slowly everyone started moving, and moved to Chennai, and started. My dad was in the construction business. He was a contractor, so he did work for Parry Confectionery, stuff like that. I think he did some work for Matthias School, Tufton, just taking care of, construction. So, my mom was born in Delhi, but, as far as she can remember, she was always in Madras, and she was in the Tiruvattur area, like closer to Mint.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So she's there. She's also a family of six. The youngest being the boy, and I think she's the third or the fourth. But man, they're awesome parents. I was very lucky to have them in my life. My mom was a teacher, and it's funny. Typically in the Anglo Indian community, you usually see love marriages, right? That's
Yeah.
typical of us.
Yeah.
You fall in love, you get married, but my mom and dad was an arranged marriage, so which is,
Yeah.
it's not uncommon, but it's
Yeah.
still one of the rare,
Yeah. Yeah.
the rare. So they got married in '89, and I was born in '90, so I made it into the '90s kids. October bond, but yeah, they're but they you know, looking back, I'd say they're probably more familiar with Chennai because than most other places because it's just been around for so long. right? But
Yeah, for sure. So
are your parents too from Chennai, or where are they from?
they are at, yes, they're all Tamil Nadu based. But my mom grew up, and I think when you're talking about the mango story, right? They lived in this village called Arambakam, which is probably like 2 hours away. And I think because Madhavaram being on that highway that goes past Red Hills and all the lorries, so I can see the trade, the mango trade, because
Right,
my grandmother and grandfather had a huge mango farm. Well, they had many farms, and they would lease out the mango trees.
right,
And so when we went, we would go spend summers there and just eat mangoes like crazy from the trees.
right,
So yeah,
right.
loved it. So and all the lorries would pass through Madhavaram, and that's the mango trade going right up to Paris even.
Oh, for
You know, so
sure.
it
Yeah,
makes total sense when you were saying mangoes. Yeah, I miss that, dude. Just
yeah.
all the different types of mangoes.
You cannot get it here,
Yeah,
no matter how you try. I mean, I tried a similar mango maybe in Hawaii. Have you been to Hawaii?
no, not yet.
You should. The mangoes there are insane. They don't let you bring seeds back
Yeah,
to the mainland.
yeah,
It's like I mean, I wouldn't say it's the same, but it's some other kind of flavor. But it's very very close. It's
yeah.
funny. We even have Anglo Indians in Hawaii, and this dude used to play with Willie Nelson.
No, really?
Yeah, you got to get to chat with him at some point. He's just such an incredible free-spirited soul. His name
Yeah.
is Michael Freegrade. I don't know if you know the
Okay, I know.
Freegrades.
I know the Figure brothers. I lived right behind.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture of him. I met him. I want to say 6 months ago. It was a last-minute trip. We sat all the way back by the bathrooms because it was like 3 days before we just booked the ticket. It was like kids, we just jumped and took it. But man, such an incredible personality. It's just so much of life energy. It's just, man, you gotta chat with him. He's got stories.
Yeah. I know his dad. His dad was the one who taught me. I mean, sorry, no, his brother Ashley Figure
Sure.
is the one who taught me to play guitar when I was in college, and I'm very close friends with Mark and Mario, also guitar, extremely good musicians.
Musicians.
I've got to see Michael play once or twice, I
Oh my
think.
goodness.
Good
Yeah,
dude's
he's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah,
The
so
B
good.
grade name, man. You have that name. It's like the Wilkins names, right? They just
Oh
came. They
boy.
just took over the. They just took over the music industry for sure. Yeah,
Oh
super
man. Yeah.
talented.
Yeah, he's
So,
incredible.
yeah,
Yeah, and his energy, man. Like,
yeah,
some people
yeah,
you just enjoy their company,
yeah,
right? Like, they don't have to do anything. It's just being in their presence, just them talking to you. Like, it makes you feel good,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And he's one of those dudes, just so down to earth. Like, the dude is still ripped. You got to see him. He's like 70 plus. He's ripped. Like, you feel him. The dude is like chiseled. It's funny. He tells me, man, all these girls I dated, the dads used to tell me, the dads used to tell these girls, don't join him because he smokes up, you know. And all the guys that they married, they all died. I'm still alive. Such a happy soul, man. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we
Yeah,
could talk for hours about
sense
him.
of humor, I think, is very common among Anglo Indians. They do have a sense of humor. We laugh a lot,
Oh
which is
my
great.
God. Yeah.
So you moved. So you moved to Iowa, which is probably not that different from Madhavaram, the boondocks, and you got a job there, and you met your wife and you moved on, and you were working. So when did you start your business, or when did you have the first idea and you thought like, huh, there's opportunity here?
So I was very, very lucky to find a good boss. I think, fundamentally, a lot of people take this for granted. Like, they don't realize like your early age, and this is all pure luck and, I'd say God's direction. My parents, they've always like been, extremely spiritual. They pray for me pretty much every day. My dad, he has corns in his feet. Just he kneels down and prays every day. He's super like, you can quiz him on the Bible, but without digressing, I think early on I got very, very lucky finding an extremely good boss. Like, I don't mean the kind ones, not, we're not talking about having a drink together or sharing your sob stories together. It's just that energy, the people around you early on, it kind of like mentally shapes you, right? Especially when you come out of college, you're having fun. I used to play in a band. I had long hair, big beard, and then you transition from living that kind of life with so many friends, and then you move to a city where you know nobody. You have power cuts 8 hours a day back then because, they were having some electricity issues. So I used to work night shifts. But just someone to kick your ass early on and tell you, like, dude, like, get your things together. Like, you can't do this. So you got to do this. And just that energy drive, right, early on. So the point of telling you this was, I stayed in the same industry. I haven't moved away from the industry. But I learned so much, early on. And I think a lot of kids these days, I'm still a kid. I want to call myself a kid because I don't want to age. But a lot of them need that, to
absolutely.
kind of mold you. Even if it's a year, it's like, you're the soft clay that just needs somebody to, help you shape. And that was very, very fundamental for me because, I think at the end of my stint there, I just learned so much, and it was so much of pressure, so much of rush, that I went through those years. And then I moved to Chicago, and I found a job at Blue Cross Blue Shield in Illinois. The 300 East Randolph, the famous building. They shot Transformers there, and at that time when I joined, they were giving free tickets, and I'm like, what's going on? And they said, oh, Transformers came out, so they filmed it here, so everybody that were in the building were getting free tickets to watch the movie. But I started as a business analyst, IT business analyst. I was doing that work. It was boring. I couldn't do it. Like, all of that. The small business feel is different, right? You're wearing many hats. You're sweeping the floor if you have to, right? I couldn't do it. Like, I had to do it because I needed the money because, obviously, I needed to pay my bills.
Kind of important.
Right. At least in the States, I don't have an auntie's house to go and crash in, feed me some chicken fry and some bloody, tamarind rice. I'm forced to pay my bills, and, I have a wife now. My mother-in-law, my father-in-law, they don't know me. I got to prove myself. They're going to think that, she married a bum. So anyway, I started working there. 3 months in, I couldn't do it. I'm like, I got to do something else. So I started it as a side gig. I just did it purely because I was bored. I think early on, just as multitasking has just become part of it, of your DNA, especially your early years when you're, working in a small business. You're constantly doing 300 things. But, when you go to corporations, it's just processes, right? You're just having to do certain tasks every day. Yeah, you're using different words, but the thing you're doing is, you're part of a big machine. And, as much as it's nice, and I service those clients now, but I just wanted to do something more. And then I started it as a side gig. And it's funny, I had an EA. I didn't even use a chartered accountant to open the business at that time. I used an EA to say, hey, can you just register the business? And she said, oh, no problem. This is a cheaper option. You got to wait for 45 days. I said, great, no problem. I just started advertising, and we got a contract. And my business is not registered. I don't even have an EIN, and I have a contract. And it was like, oh my God, what do I do? And then I'm like running around helter-skelter trying to figure out what to do. I don't have time to be happy that I got a contract. Because I'm like, I don't even have the business registered. So then I overnighted it. And since then it's been, a lot of ups and downs, early on, right? It just deal with a lot of in and out, people coming in, going out. But now I'm very fortunate, and also interesting bit of this is, the foundational team, or the main team now, the executive team, as I'd like to call it, are all Anglo Indians.
Oh, really? Nice. Yeah.
And that was not because of any DEI attempts, purely talent, hard work, it turns out that the main team, is
That's a
all
nice
Anglo
happy
Indians.
accident. Yeah, for sure.
Right, right.
So, so for those who don't know, I obviously researched you as well. So tell us what your business does, just briefly, and what's the business? Because I think it's definitely a lot I want to talk about from the business perspective, right? I want to pick your brain. What motivates you? What books you read? What do you hate and what do you love? Going from employee to boss, right? So, but before we get into that, and I promise you, we'll finish all this within an hour, even. So tell me, yeah, what's your business about? Yeah, what do you do?
So initially, there was purely a staffing intent. We just wanted to stay in staffing, IT staffing, because I was in that field. I understood the business, and I knew, how to work with clients. So the focus was purely on IT staffing, and the name too kind of resembles that. But over time, we've graduated into implementing some projects to onshore, implementation. We focus, our focus is the opposite of what you'd see from a traditional consulting business. Usually traditional consulting is when you have offshore resources, you build a client, this much. But our focus is a little different. At some point we got to add, we still have a little bit of offshore, consulting, but primarily I'd say most of our staff is based out of the US.
Okay.
A combination of implementing, projects. So we do application development, testing, project management, portfolio management, all of that stuff, but all within the realm of IT. And yeah, I mean, I think part of a lot of small businesses, one of the main issues that they encounter is they early on start saying no because they just don't want to do something wrong and they don't want to go outside their comfort zone. So they just say, no, I don't want to do this, even if there's a need from the client, right? So I feel like you say yes and then you figure it out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so that's kind of how we graduated from staying in staffing. And and again, I think I got very, very lucky with the right team. Like just the people around me that, they're loyal, they're dedicated, they're hungry,
That's so important.
and it matters, right? Like who you're around truly matters. If you have a few bums around you, you're going to be a bum,
Yep.
right? And, that helped me. And I think, it's all from a common denominator of, hey, I want to be successful. I don't want to make money. It's not about the money. Money is, a natural, you get money when you're good at something, right? Whatever be it. Like you, I mean, you're, look at you, you're a natural at this. I mean, you're the Joe Rogan, like I said earlier, you're like the Joe Rogan of the AI podcast world, and you probably be like him too, right? But the idea is that, if you're good at something, money is just an automatic result of it, right? So I think the team as a whole, the focus is, hey, are you really good at this, or do you think you're good at this, right? You got to figure out, how can I get better? What can I do, to kind of improve myself on a daily basis to get better at it? And eventually you do it in your sleep, and then you pick up another skill, right? So, and I think that's part of what the team has always, at least my, the executive team is like, hey, this is what you need to focus on. Double down on your strengths. If you can improve on your weaknesses, great. If not, forget about them. Just double down on your strengths. We'll find somebody who can do, the things you're not good at. And I'm a horrible project manager. I can't do it. I as much as I was, I can't manage projects, but I have some people who are good at that, right? So for me, what am I good at? Like, hey, setting the vision, saying this is what we need to do, and I forget about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then you have the next level, which is like people who, kind of manage the nitty-gritties of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes somebody asks me some questions, what happened to this SOW? What? I don't know. You're asking the wrong guy, right? So yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah,
I know.
no, that's
Yeah.
great. I think there's a lot of good values, right? I think like focusing on what you're good is just such good advice, and not worry about the things you can't do. Just and saying yes and then figuring it out from a business perspective, that is so important. Because a long time ago, I was listening to this other podcast, and the guy was saying like your sales team needs to be 3 times as bigger than your engineering team. Because if you're not selling, your engineers are not busy, right? So all these sales teams are out there just saying yes, 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 and then and come back and like the engineers like let's figure it out,
Right.
and that's how you
100%.
scale. So I
Yeah, you're
think,
right.
yeah.
You're right. So, tell me about your background. What do you do? Are you do you do this stuff full time? Like, are you a blogger? What do you do?
I probably have ADHD. I do so many things, which
That's a good thing.
I hate
Yeah.
being bored. I never stop working. But no, this is my side gig. I'm not. A long time ago, I squandered a really good opportunity. I started this site called Pepperwater. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but I had investors talking to me. I got like newspaper interviews uh, because newspapers were still big back then, I guess. But I just squandered it. But my background is I'm more into tech, and I see that I would love to talk some AI with you as well. I work in the AI agent space. So I have a job that I head up growth pretty much for, been with a couple of AI companies. Speechify is one, which is mostly Silicon Valley companies. So head up growth in the AI space. So that's what I do, and everything else is a side gig because I enjoy. I hate being on camera, and I talk to people to come on and be a guest. They say like, I hate being on camera. Me too, but somebody's got to do it.
Right. Right. So, were you always in tech, or
Yes, ever since I moved here, I started working as like a web designer.
okay?
For this company. Like I probably built like 1,000 websites in my first 5 years over here.
Wow.
So
Were you a front end developer kind of
yes, mostly
designer?
front end.
Okay.
I don't do that anymore. I do it for the things that I operate now. I run a couple of websites that I'm trying to scale up.
Sure.
A couple of businesses, but yeah, I don't have too many things on my plate. I just get a bigger plate. You
Tell
know?
me about it. Yeah.
So yeah,
That's funny. Yeah.
so this podcast is one. I also started up like Anglo Indian recipes, but yeah, but not
Right.
well. Shut up about myself. But yeah, that's my background. Work in tech, work in AI, and
Dude, how's the weather? I mean, I know this is off topic, but like, how's the weather in Atlanta? Like, does it get like, what is it right now? I'm trying to see.
not bad.
It's good.
This hoodie is probably overkill, but
Yeah.
it's
Well, it's 21 now, but it says it feels like 6.
yeah. Oh really?
In Chicago. So do you go down that low in Atlanta, or
Not six, but we do get to single digits. Yeah,
okay?
it's cold without the snow.
Okay.
Yeah,
I guess my question was, more related to work. So do you work from home? Like, do
yeah.
you have to travel, or that's
Mm.
why I asked you about the cold question.
No. I've been working from home. I ran my little agency for a bit as well. I ran like a marketing agency, like a
Nice.
growth agency. So I've been working from home way before the pandemic
Very
area.
nice.
So the dream is to launch a sustainable business. One of the business I'm working on some AI apps as well.
Very nice.
So yeah, so I sleep for 5 hours a day. But
Well,
no,
you look good, man. You look good for sleeping for 5 hours. Maybe it's the lighting we're using,
it
but
is. I'm no Michael Fee grade, but
well, yeah. Oh my goodness, that's so funny.
but but yeah, man. So your business. So when was the first time? When was the first time that hit you like, dang, this is feasible. This I've seen some success, and I know that's a great feeling to have, right? Like, do you remember? I'm sure you remember that moment. Was it the very for you? It was the very first contract you got before you registered your business, even, right?
Right,
But
right.
that was not a feasible business. That was like a luck. But when did you realize, like, man, I'm onto something? I'm onto something. This could be it.
Um, so I think early on it was, I don't know if you've seen this meme that you see quite a bit. You see two guys digging, and then this one guy stops digging. It's pretty famous, it's all over. Right before he hits the diamonds, and he's like, I tried. There's nothing there, right? And I think the other guy, obviously, he tries harder and he gets lucky,
Yeah.
like they say,
Yeah.
right? I think early on, I think what, I kind of focused on is, okay, when am I going to stop, right? When am I going to stop trying to, make it lucrative, right? And I mean, I got lucky. I mean, I'm in the service business, right? So there's no investments, right? It's minimal investment. Like, you get paid for the work you do. Yeah, you get paid 60 days later, or 75 days later. But you're still not investing money. So that way, I was lucky. But I think for me, it's really hard for me to give up. And this goes back to my mom. When I was very young, she said, hey, you got to go to typewriting classes. And I'm like, oh God. And I'm not a morning person. I'm like, I use my brain really, really wakes up like probably around 12 and it's still 11:30. So you asked me to work till 6 a.m. I can do it, but I cannot do mornings.
Yeah. Are you still
Then
that
this
way?
lady, I'm sorry?
Are you still that way?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I'm forced to wake up early because I got kids
Yeah.
running to school, picking them up,
Yeah.
dropping them. But, I'm usually doing my meetings past 11 o'clock, just so that I can, kind of mentally get ready. But I work later. But, so going back to my mom used to tell me, you got to learn to type. And I'm like, man, I don't know, but it's 6 a.m. But I went for 2 weeks and I stopped. And I think that was very foundational for me because I didn't learn anything from going to typewriting classes and I still can't type like, using all my fingers. And I think that resonated pretty early on for me in the sense that I said to myself, like, if I start something, I need to finish it. Even if I fail, I don't want to say that I didn't do my 100%. And I think having an experience where I failed, like didn't see something through, really got personal. Like, it's like, man, I felt like a failure, almost like it triggered something early on. So ever since then, I was like, even if I'm failing, I'm just going to keep trying. And I think that, goes back to the story of that meme we were just talking about. I'm just going to try one more day, one more day, one more day. And eventually it works because you learn. The thing is, a lot of people think, let me just keep trying. It'll work magically. No, like what is not working today, try to change something up and, don't change every single day. Give it a few days. But like, if it's not working, you got to change what you're doing, but don't stop, right? And I think a lot of people getting together, having a drink, and they have all of these crazy business ideas, right? Like, oh my God, we should do this, we should do that. But the difference between having an idea is how you execute it,
Yep.
right? And that execution bit is the hardest,
Tell me about it. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, when you're high in those spirits, and you're like, man, we can do this. This doesn't exist.
Yeah.
This is the Uber of everything,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Your kids, you seem like a pretty driven guy, right? Obviously, to run the business, you have to be, right?
Right.
A pretty successful business as well, right? So I'm pretty driven as well, and I know my kids will rattle off my phrases that I tell them. I'm sure your kids are probably not old enough to like, oh, your dad's going again. So I have like, so I love the when you're talking about execution, right? I know I'm working with my sisters on some and trying to launch them as well, and they'll come with all these ideas. I'll say ideas are great, execution is better, right? And I'll tell you this story, and it might help. I have a word that I tell my kids, and every time I say this, they also yes, yes, we know it. It's called finishative, right? It's initiative plus finishing it, right? So you got to have finishative. You cannot just have ideas. Take your idea and throw it in the trash. It's worth nothing without execution. So,
Right. Right.
yeah, I'm really passionate about that as well. You got to execute, and you got to execute well. So,
Right.
so, and I think that's a really good recipe for success. Working on the right things and methodical about it, not just like a madman, right?
Right.
Just doing
Right.
stuff. So yeah, man, I would love to pick your brain. Like, are you a reader?
You know, it's funny. I hate reading.
Yeah.
I can't read. I cannot read. I love talking to people. I enjoy learning from other people's experience, but I can't read. And I think it is a bad thing because obviously, you have to. And I think it's probably my inability to um, focus on one thing for a long period of time. I rather listen to Joe Rogan or, while I'm driving, listen to an audiobook or something. But reading, I don't know. I just can't do it. You know, I struggle with it. People ask me, "Hey, what books do you read? How do you know this stuff?" I'm like, "No, dude. I probably read Blue Ocean Strategy, which I liked. I don't know if you've read that book.
Not yet.
Yeah, it's a really good book, and I think that book did help me. Coming back to your point of, hey, do you read books? It does help because that book talks about how you go from being a machine, which is an employee, to changing your mindset about how you run a business. And I follow this guy called Patrick Bet David. I don't know if
Yeah.
you.
ABD. Yeah.
Oh my God, man! I just I consume a lot of his content, and I think I consume content
Mm.
like that.
Yeah.
Gary Vaynerchuk,
Yeah. Yeah.
Patrick Bet David, and stuff like that early on. And going back to reading books, I think is definitely something I should try to do. But I also like to pick my battles. No way,
That's
I
some
can't read.
wisdom there. I mean, you don't. I think information can come in all forms, right? I think PBD is a
Right,
great, successful businessman. I think whatever he has to write, he probably speaks in a podcast. So there's just because he's speaking it, it's not of any less value because it's not written
right,
down. You
right.
know,
Are you a reader? Are you a reader?
I I come from a family of readers. Saturday mornings, as kids, as teenagers, this will be shocking. And again, my kids would heard me tell the story. Saturday mornings at our house, it would be pin drop silence because all of us would be in our own corner reading a book from morning, skipping lunch,
Wow.
and just going straight to dinner, finishing probably two books a day.
So who drives that at home? Like, was it mom, dad? Would
Both were readers. Both were readers. My dad would come. My dad came home from work one day with a suitcase, and he opened it up. It was a suitcase full of books. Like we just dove in like vultures
Wow.
feeding on like a dead deer, like roadkill. We just like
Wow.
diving in. Oh, I want this book. I want this book. We just took our pile, and it was like
Yeah.
the most exciting time of our lives.
Sure. Sure. So tell me about your dad. Like, I'm just trying to like understand a little bit about your brain and
Yeah.
where it comes from. So like,
So my
what got your dad into books and what's the background there?
I don't know. They've always been a reader. My mom and dad come from large families, probably like 12 plus, I would imagine.
Okay.
So, so they were big readers. And as far as I can remember, my dad worked on the railways. So he was gone for like 3 days a week. I'm more like my mom. My dad is he's very, both are introverted. I'm introverted as well. But my dad was more calm. My mom was like the tomboy. She would do like what we would call parkour now. She would
Sure.
do that when growing up, right? So she has all the scars and the broken bones. And so I'm more like that. So I got my motivation to like go out there and go hunt, kill, bring stuff home from her. And but yeah, but they were both, as far as we remember, they were both readers. We got library cards as gifts. You know, maybe
Wow.
we were forced to, not forced, because of nothing else. Reading was the only thing we were like kind of forced to get
Sure.
into for
Sure. But
entertainment.
you're also a guitarist, right? I think I saw some pictures of you playing some guitar and you
Yeah,
know
Yeah,
Yeah.
we grew up, dude. I, I have want to talk to you, but I'm glad you mentioned that. But music, yeah, we played. I was in a death metal band, believe it or not. So
Damn. I did a little bit of growling back in the day.
yeah, yeah. Tell me about yeah. Tell me the long hair. How long was it?
Oh my goodness. I could probably
Okay.
down here.
Yeah.
My beard was much longer.
Yeah.
So that came pretty early on. I think in it's just the Anglo thing, right?
Yeah.
There's some music in you somewhere. Every one of us have it. It's either in your feet while you're dancing, or it's in your fingertips,
Yeah.
or in your voice,
Yeah.
right? It is there. It's just so early on. I don't know if you know Daryl Oliver. Um,
No.
so he
Maybe I
lived in
do. I'm sorry, Doc.
Jawaharnagar.
Just forgot the name.
Yeah, yeah. So they lived in Jawaharnagar. So Daryl Oliver used to be a guitarist, and he used to teach a lot of Anglo kids how to play. And he used to have, back in the day, they give you the CDs and
Yeah.
you know go home and do this. So his son and I were very good friends, and we still are to this day. His name is Deneen Oliver. He's in London now. So I was taken up by this dude playing guitar. Like I see him, I'm like, because I don't have anybody in my family that play instruments, right? So when I saw this, I was like super taken up. And I just saw him play, and I was like, can I borrow your guitar for like 5 minutes? How do you do this? This was back in like maybe like ninth to 10th grade. And then I picked up a few chords here and there, just the family of chords, just survive with the C, right? And we did a few, like, Dufton was very strict when it came to music,
Yeah.
because I don't know what it is. I think going back, I think I wish I can give these people some advice. Like, it's coming, you're getting your kids ready, right? Like, get them to have more than just the books, right? And I don't think it's just Dufton. I don't want to like bash them or thrash them about this. I think it's just overall culturally in India, it's just hey, just study. Books is the only thing, and I get it to an aspect, to a degree. I agree, but when you have kids, how are they going to know what they're good at,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Unless the parents motivate them, there's no other way. But going back to that, fast forward, I went through school in Dufton, and we just used to do one concert a year in Dufton Quarry. They used to have their Founders Day thing. We got lucky to play once. The sound was horrible because I don't even know which uncle was playing with the knobs, but he used to do some Eric Clapton, some Where's the Love from? I forget that guy. What's the name of that band? Like the famous they had Fergie in it. They had,
Yeah.
what
Black
was
Eyed
that?
Peas. Yeah.
Yeah, Black Eyed Peas. So
Okay.
we had a rapper, this
Okay.
this Chinese looking dude, Anglo Indian guy, but he's pure Anglo. I just don't know how he got those eyes, but he used to do some rapping, and we used to sing the chorus. Just somehow got through college. I mean, through school, and then when I joined Loyola, I think a lot of people underestimate the impact Loyola has in your life. It's just incredible, right? Like, just having to just I studied no computer science in college, right? I mean, it's probably the same as you. Did you do computer science too? What did you do?
Oh, I did sociology.
Okay, yeah. You
My name
studied.
wasn't on the. My name wasn't like some wasn't on the list, so I had to move to sociology.
Okay, you're fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. Or you go to Loyola and it just opens up your eyes, right? I think, what is their motto, or what they call it? Is it "Let your light shine"?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just incredible. I think just the people you're around.
Yeah.
So the guy who studied with me, his name is Troyden. He was a year older. I don't know if you know Troyden Neto. He plays gigs to this date,
Sounds very
and
familiar. Yeah.
yeah, he's a great dude to talk to too, because he does looping stuff. So he's just
Okay.
the solo guy with all of the looping stuff going, and so I think in the first year of college, we're trying to do something, so we started a band, and it was me, Troyden Neto. There was this other dude, Beyond Sorrow. There was another guy called Kevin. A drummer is Paul Taylor. Do you know the Taylor Boys?
So,
The ones from Madhavaram. His
mm,
the no, okay.
no.
So Ian Taylor, Paul Taylor, all of this, and anyway, so we started a band. We used to do some Green Day,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
then we said let's start doing some Guns N' Roses, because now you got the look, so you got to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Troyden looks like Slash, just a skinnier version. He's got all that long curly hair to this
Nice.
day, and early on, I think that really opened my eyes because we used to do all these culturals, right? You go to Loyola, and then it's like, how do you get to see the girls?
Yeah.
You got to be in
Yeah.
a band, or you're not getting in, right? So, WCC, MCC, and then we met a bunch of friends through that. Um, and that's how we used to make our money, like winning competitions, right, where you get 5,000 a piece, 5,000 rupees a piece, whatever, and you play, like, it's the season. I think it starts September and goes through like
I think so. Yeah.
February or something.
Mostly outdoors, so it's a little cooler.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. Then we ended up playing in some pubs. I don't even know how we came up with the name, but it was called Je Suis. I think we were just drinking too much, and we just said, let's just. It's like, what the heck does this even mean? No idea. It just sounded funny and cool. And we did some Tenacious D. I don't know if you heard of Tenacious D.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love Tenacious D. I used to do vocals, and then eventually we started doing some own compositions. Just went through that phase. Many of them are still in music. It's funny. I didn't go to college at all through the year because, you had this
Sure.
on-duty thing,
Yeah.
OD or whatever they call it, like if you're out
Yeah.
singing or playing culturals.
Yeah.
So through all those 3 years, I just never went to school. It was just playing music, and you just enjoyed, right, being on
Yeah.
stage, singing.
Yeah. Such a good feeling, for
It
sure.
is, yeah. And then I remember, do you know Anirudh, the Tamil music director? He's a Justin Bieber of India now. He sang the song "Why This Kolaveri."
Okay, I know that was a thing back a while back. Yeah.
Yeah. So this dude is now the biggest star
Hmm.
in the music business in India. So he and I were pretty good friends, and I shared the same birthday, and so you know how it works, right? When you go to college, you have this hall ticket thing. In order for you to get it, based off your attendance, you get it. So
Oh,
it starts with your teacher. You got to bring your
yeah.
mother, father. Then it goes to the HOD. Then it goes to the vice principal, and then the principal. So in the whole university or college, as we call it back home, like it was just me and him at the principal's office from the whole university. Nobody else was there. Then we go in, and I was like, dude, you think they're gonna get a hall ticket? தெரியல, போய் பார்க்கலாம் எப்படின்னு. And it's so funny. I still remember it to this day. And that's what I like about Loyola. He said to us, he said, listen, I'll give you all that hall ticket, but tomorrow you may come and judge some culturals here. Don't tell everybody. Don't worry. Just go to the principal. He'll give you the hall ticket. But my life changed because, at the end of the day, it was not, I had to get a full-time job, and I made that conscious decision of, moving out of it. But it was very hard. It was extremely difficult to move out of that because every weekend we used to be playing somewhere, some pub, or, it was very, very difficult letting go of that person.
Yeah.
And you're going through this phase in your life where you're trying to find yourself, as they call it, right? And you're never finding yourself because you just gotta figure it out.
Yeah. Life hits you, right? When you're out of college and now you have to survive, and the fun things are still fun, but you don't see any long-term sustenance out of
Right.
it, right?
Right. So were you part of a band too?
Yeah, I was part of a couple of bands. Did the whole wedding thing with a couple of friends from Denver, Conceso, Don, the brothers, then also did the metal thing, the death metal thing.
Very nice.
Yeah,
I,
played.
I saw Ronald in your thing.
I know
Ronald
Ronald.
Nathaniel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have you ever played with him?
No, I did not get to play
No.
with him. But my singer, when I left, I think the singer from my band, Eddie, kind of made
Oh,
friends.
so you're with Eddie. Oh my
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
God.
yeah,
Incredible. Then I probably saw you play somewhere because I was always at Eddie's shows, and Eddie was such a inspiration because he
yeah.
was such a kind dude. Like,
Yes.
gave us a lot of opportunity to play because obviously we're much junior to him
Yeah, yeah.
back in the day. Super sweet. So I definitely probably saw you. Did you have the whole look going too, the long hair thing?
Dude, I had hair almost up to my waist, I think, at one
Dude,
point.
you got to send me a picture. I
Oh,
want
no,
to
I
see
don't have
it
pictures.
now.
When
You
I,
don't?
I don't. It was a long time ago, but nobody bothered to take pictures. And maybe if we did, it was.
Sure, sure. But I'm sure you'll find one. I'm gonna bug you later after the podcast. You gotta send me one. I want to see because you got good hair for your age. It's still like full on your
Yeah,
head.
yeah.
Like
It was
I'm
big.
losing. So
It was big, long hair, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So, so yeah, man. So what do you like? What do you like, and what do you hate about being a boss?
Well, the part I think that everyone think that being a boss is cool.
Yeah.
It's actually not because it's very lonely. Because forget about the wins, right? When there is a win, you cannot say it's because of you.
Yep.
But when there is a loss,
Sure.
it is because of you.
Yeah.
Because the buck stops
Mm.
somewhere, right? And I think that the hardest part about being a boss, and this goes for pretty much everybody, is that nobody understands that there's nobody to tell them what to do. There is no accountability for you, right? You're either doing it or you're not, and you're tanking the business because you're not focused, right? And I think that is the hardest part about being a boss because, like, you don't really, and I hate to call myself the boss. I like the servant leadership attitude. I think servant leadership goes a long way as far as, hey, listen, I think early on, one thing when you're really good at something, it's very easy for you to think that, okay, you can do it all, right? And that do it all mentality is what makes you, a bum as a boss, right? Like, yeah, you may be good at it, right? But you're not Superman. You can't be in all places at the same time, and you gotta learn to take lesser quality. Just because you're better at it doesn't mean you're doing it the best. Sometimes you have to let go of the reins, and I think that's also a struggle as your team grows, right? Because your teammates who are kind of doing this and who end up becoming bosses themselves because now they have more people under them, they struggle letting go, right? Because they're so used to doing these things and they're so good at this, it's hard for them to let go and let this other person do it.
Comfort.
And they start complaining, oh my
Yeah.
God, this guy's not doing it as good. I said, hey, dude, remember when you didn't do it as good, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think as you kind of grow, I think numbers don't matter as much, but it is about accountability. Like, how accountable are you to yourself? And I think that's the hard part,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Because it's like going to the gym.
Yep.
I think, a boss is a perfect analogy for it is going to the gym, right? You do it 6 days. 7th day, you're like, I want biryani. I really need this. I can't do without it, right? Because like I'm bloody eating these eggs and oats and whites and all this stuff. Now I want my biryani, and that's kind of what happens as a boss, right? Like who's going to tell you not to go to the gym
Yep.
or go to the gym, right?
Yep.
The wife maybe, but oh come on, I don't care what you think. I want to eat biryani now. So I think a boss is something like that because it's hard to it is hard to have accountability at the end of the day, but I think you got to keep reminding yourself, like, why did you do this, what are you doing? And for me, it's all about my family. When I say my family, it's my team, everybody. I keep reminding myself that, hey, listen, you got so many families depending on this business. Don't take it for granted, right? Because it can be gone in an instant, and then you're going to be fine. You'll find another job, but you're putting a lot of stress, and they'll be fine too, for sure. But you're temporarily putting them all in panic mode and stress. So I think that kind of keeps me grounded. Just kind of remembering that, hey, listen, you gotta,
Yeah. Yeah.
handle your matters. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
for sure. There's people dependent on you for sure,
right,
And that's probably got to be motivating and scary at times.
very scary,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
scary. Yeah.
sure. So, Sheldon, I think you're doing some really awesome things, man, with the Anglo community over here. With you started an annual dance. Um,
Yeah.
so tell us about that. People like even here, people given like Facebook and social media, even within the US, not many people probably know there's a larger collection of Anglos that in the US that get together and just talk on Facebook, or then even less people know that there's a dance as an actual meetup, and that's the closest thing they'll ever get to like a semblance back home, right? And you started that. What was the motivation? And it's been 3 years now, right? And just tell us about that. Like people outside the in the US might not know it. People outside the US, other than your friends and family, might not know about this. So tell us about it. What is it, and when did you start?
So I want to say during COVID, no, prior to COVID, right before COVID hit,
You have
when
perfect timing. I'm joking.
yeah, it was Christmas time, and I think COVID hit in January.
Mm,
It was Christmas, and you know how it is, right? Back home, like Christmas time is buzzing. Like, I mean, the culture here is very different, right? Christmas is quiet. Like, you don't even go to church on Christmas. It's so quiet. Christmas, you go to church 24th night here, you finish it by 6 p.m. I go to a non-denominational church, I don't even get to do the 12 a.m. church thing. By 4:35 in the evening, it's already dark because it's winter. And then at 6 in the evening, you're done, right? And then we were sitting, I think it was dinner on Christmas Day. I was like, man, like, it was a lot of fun. Like, again, I haven't been to many dances back home, right? Like, you take it for granted, right? Because you're around all of them all the time. Like, you don't really think
a
that,
big
oh, let's
deal.
go for a dance, right? But then I think Christmas night, I was like, let's see who's out there. Let's just send a radio signal. Is anyone out there? And I'm like, where do we find our fellow Anglo Indians, right? I mean, we're always on cookery groups, right? And just like everyone want their kalkals roast cookies, like you like. And what are you, a coconut rice ball curry guy or a biryani? What are you?
Oh, biryani, dude.
There,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Any day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you cook?
No.
No. So
No, my
what do you
daughter.
do? Like the wife's not Anglo Indian, is she?
No, my wife is Caucasian, but my daughter loves to cook.
Okay.
So I will send her Indian recipes, and she's good at following recipes. So she cooks for me. She cooks good biryani. Yeah.
Oh my God. You put it on the daughter now. You're
Yeah.
like, make me this dish. There you go. Yeah. Do the parents come visit often? Or no.
No, I go down there. Yeah, it's easier for me to go.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, food was, kind of what I was thinking, man. These guys probably like food. So let's go find some of these cookery groups. And I just posted out there, hey, I'm just drumming up some interest. Is anyone interested in getting together, playing some music? Listening to some bands play, some dancing, just like how it used to be done back home. And I just created a group saying Anglo Indians in the USA, and I just posted the link, and I went to bed. The next day morning, I woke up and I said, let's make sure we at least have 3 questions because everyone's going to join it because, they'll be like, oh, USA, let's meet some folks in the US. And I didn't want it to be a sort of getting to know other people from other countries, but I kind of wanted to just to be so, everyone get to know each other more personally. So I kind of had like 3 gateway questions. Where are you located? Are you Anglo Indian? Where are you located in the States? Where were you from India? So that kind of gets some of the bots out of the system too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I woke up the next morning. We had 230 requests,
No way.
and I was like, "Dude, this is something.
You're onto something. Yeah.
This is 230 families,
Yeah.
right?" Um, and I said, "Okay, let's plan next Christmas." And boom, January COVID hit. There goes everything, right? But the fun thing about that group is they really got together, like chatting on that page, and they started connecting, and then they started taking the relationships to the next level, like chatting, like Cleona and Tina and the Kolafs. I think I heard what was her name, Natasha.
Natasha, yeah.
Yeah, she's a Kolaf. I think I briefly spoke to her in the group, but Karen
Yeah.
Kolaf,
Yeah.
the sweetest lady you'd
It
find.
is.
Just such a big heart. Like, her husband is almost like, adopted into the Anglo Indian community because he's more excited to be to all these shows than her. He packs his trailer with stuff, like
Really?
brings it to the gig. But COVID hit and was like, okay, there goes everything. But at least people are chatting, right? And then at least we're getting to know each other. And I'm like, oh my goodness! And I got a guy living 2 streets away from me, and I didn't know this all along.
Really?
No idea. And I'm like, damn, And then we had COVID. Obviously, 2 years passed by, and then I told the wife, I said, you know what? Let's just go to Sheraton. I mean, it's like throwing a wedding, right? You're booking a hall, you're getting rooms, whatever the number was you're thinking is
Yeah.
how much it costs.
Okay.
Whatever it is, So I told the wife, even if nobody comes, that's fine. Let's just get the family over and we'll have a Christmas party here. We'll call some friends locally, just make it our own thing. Let's just sign the contract and see what happens.
Say yes and then figure it out, right?
Figure it out. There you go.
Love it.
And and then so I opened a Eventbrite link, so it was just easier to keep track of who's buying tickets. And I said, we're not going to make money with this. This is not a money thing for me. Like, I don't really need the money, not that I have a lot, but it's, negligent to a point where, it's not worth my time. So we made it as cheap as possible. It was like, what, it was $50-$60 for 3 nights, all inclusive, whatever. We posted the link and he said, hey, I was hoping people come. It was like, obviously, I wanted to work at the same time, right? So we ended up doing that. And man, we had 150 people show for the first year.
Wow. That's quite a good turnout, dude.
And yeah, and keep in mind, like, these are people that are booking hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Right? They're booking flights.
Yep.
You have people coming from California, New York. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
If you think about
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
We're probably not going to go to our relative's wedding if it is that far.
Yeah. It's somebody's vacation, right?
It is. It
Yeah.
is. So it's an investment,
Yeah.
right? And what I found in this community here is just like you and I are craving it.
Yeah.
They're all craving it.
Yeah. Sure.
And it's so much love. And, Karen cooks her cakes and brings it. And one lady from California brings a saltfish pickle and
No way.
plane. It is just.
Who is that lady? I want her contact.
Yeah, definitely. I'll find it and text it to you. It's incredible. And then you have Alan Samuel from Bangalore. This dude, brings his Kerala beef roast. He brings it on the plane, and so we usually cater food for the main night. So like, we do a meet and greet thing. There's appetizers, there's drinks, whatever. So after that, everyone getting into their pajamas, like their Christmas, ugly sweater thing.
Yeah.
And they just go and crash someone's room. And all of this food is brought to their room, and all hang out, sing carols, with guitars, and
Yeah.
make it so Christmassy. And we know when to stop. When to stop is when security comes up and saying, you guys are making a big noise. It happens every year. 3 a.m., everyone, dispersed to their rooms.
That's hilarious.
And I think I've made genuine friendships. It's really hard living here, in my experience, to make a lot of genuine connections and friendships. It's very transactional. I don't know what your experience is, but I think having not to worry about, hey, am I transactional enough, or am I doing the best I can? Is there enough reciprocation in that relationship? You just go back to the good old days. You pass a lousy joke,
Yeah.
the Anglo Indian way, and
Yeah.
you laugh. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you. I think I added you to the group. I don't know if you see the messages. People are
Yeah. Huh.
still
In the
going,
group. Yeah. Yeah.
talking
Sharing pictures
about
from the
it.
dance. Yeah.
But dude, you gotta come, man. You gotta come
Yeah.
next year.
You should.
Bring the kids. And I think this is helping my kids too. And I think going back to your discussion with Natasha, I think I heard this part about how hard it is for our kids, your kids, mine, and not having that understanding of the culture,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It is hard because my kids to this day, when we say, hey, I'm Anglo Indian, your mom's Anglo Indian, she says, but I'm American,
Yeah.
mom,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? And I think the beautiful, result of this, unintended, was not only the preservation of our culture going, it's also introduction to the next generation, where these kids are like, I mean, just think about it, right? I'm in my 30s. You have people in their 60s, 70s even, this last year. And you got to talk to Joy Chase, by the way,
Okay.
who came here in the 60s.
Oh, wow.
And she's an Anglo Indian. She's a relative of mine and Timothy Vanderput.
Oh, nice.
She's written books.
Okay.
Anglo Indian memoir. I think someone just bought her book and posted it
Okay.
in the group. And you should talk to her. She just has so much knowledge. But she was there. She's 80 plus.
Oh, wow.
And very elegant, incredibly well dressed, amazing personality. But my point of this is, you have 80-year-olds,
Yeah.
right? Then you have 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds,
Yeah.
and then you have 20-year-olds. I mean, think about it. Which 20-year-old is going to want to be with adults, right?
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's not my scene. I
Yeah.
want to hang out with
That
my...
age range, you won't find that group in the same group. That age
You
group.
don't.
Yeah.
You don't. But it's incredible, dude. I feel like that effect of having these younger kids just come and just, experience the culture, and they keep coming back. All these kids have been regulars. These are not like, let's go and see how it is and come back. Because it's not about the music. It's not about the drinking or the food even. It's just that, I believe personally, it's just that love and connection that we find with each other, and going back to, I guess, how it used to be back home, right? Over the weekend, you hang out with your buddies, chill with the guitar. Hey, let's play this song, man. Hey, let's do some Guns N' Roses or some Bon Jovi, And I think that's what everyone come together for every year. And believe me, I'm losing money on this big time. Like, the revenue I get is probably 20% of the bill. At the end of it, even though I try to increase the prices over time, there's no way I can break even. It's
Sure.
just purely
Sure. Yeah.
purely just getting together,
Yeah.
having fun. I'd love sponsors. At some point, I want to make it beyond just me, because I feel like, listen, like, at some point, I want to kind of pass the baton to someone else or a group. So whether I'm alive or not, let's kind of make this a regular thing, because nowhere in the world this happens, by the way, right? You have, I mean, nationally, like a national thing, apart from India, you go to Australia, you go to London, they have their pockets,
Yeah.
little get-togethers,
Yeah.
right? And and the funny thing is, you have these groups, even in those get-togethers, they're just like these 5 people talking to each other. But in these dances, everyone talks to each other, because it becomes a big circle, because nobody knows everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, let's get together, chat.
Mm.
And believe me, dude, they've become friends. They do the small little get-togethers in each of these different places.
Mm.
It's awesome. And I think that's the gratification I get from it, just having to kind of just see everyone happy, getting together. And thing. Because, like, you'd agree with me on this, right? The US immigration system is very different
Absolutely.
compared to Australia or
Yeah.
the UK or
Yeah.
even Canada. Canada and Australia have this points-based system,
Yeah.
right? Once you figure out the book, how to get it done, you
Yeah.
move.
The formula. Yeah.
Right. And that's why a lot of our kind go to Canada and
Yeah.
Australia because, one person goes and then they follow, right?
Yeah.
But here, you can't do that, right? If you want to bring a family member, it's a 30-year wait.
Yeah. Yeah. And they don't have any reason. Like it's just one person can say yes or no at the embassy. Yeah.
Right.
It's
Right.
crazy.
And then, and I think the kind of people that have moved here, and I'm sure you're going to meet a few of them. They're like really successful dudes. Like there's this guy called Jeff Rigo. He's based out of California. Dude sold his business. I want to say Oracle or Cisco. He actually sold his business to them. And now he's doing another startup. So he's in the business of, building products, selling them. Wonderful mentor. He's an amazing dancer. His wife, Verna Rigo, she says, never let good music go to waste. Yeah. And these parties go until 2 a.m. Everyone's on the floor from like 7 in the evening to 2 in the morning. It's, and, very successsucul. They live out in the Bay Area.
Okay.
Very, very,
Dang,
very polished.
I was in the Bay Area a couple of months ago. If I had to make the connection earlier. Yeah.
Dude, you should. And these are really, very nice people.
Yeah.
Like just easy to talk to.
Yeah.
Like they're just like instant connection. It's not like how you got to work a little hard to kind of make connections with some people.
Yeah.
With these people, just naturally free flowing. And there's this other dude you got to meet. His name is Whitbert Payne. Okay, so this dude is the undisputed king of attending every single worldwide reunions since the 70s. I want to say.
Since the 70s, dang.
He owns an insurance business in California. Dude, what a character, dude. The dude used to be a model back in the day. He's dressed head to toe Italian brands. You know how we like to dress up, right?
Sure.
Whether it's a brand or not, we like to get our shirts tucked in.
Absolutely.
Go to church, and this dude is just stunning. He's got a tux on with a bow, and I'll send you a picture of him later. But these are some dudes that got some history and very, very interesting.
Man, it sounds like great fun. Yes, you're right. I think a lot of places they have like probably the committee meets up nationally, but not because there's so many Anglos. I think scarcity also you're forced to be creative. When you have limited funds, and we have if Anglos were the funds, we have limited people, so we are forced to be wise about it. Which is a good thing, right? And
Sure.
the most creative ideas come out of scarcity, right? And how you're going to manage this. So it's really awesome that you're doing it, man. I know a bunch of people like Natasha, Karen asked me to come, but I was traveling to India last year, and this year surprised me. But yeah, man. Closing, like, what's your plans? When I see this, right? Maybe you have different plans, but when I was seeing what you were doing. I was thinking like, man, this dude is like the perfect natural progression. Maybe like there's some Anglo Indian Association, if it exists or does not exist in the US. Maybe I don't know what the chapter is. Do you have to sign up, like be like blessed from somebody in India?
No, dude. Believe me, I don't want to get into politics.
Yeah.
And I think this association is a bunch of bull. Like, I don't need to be an Anglo Indian,
Sure.
I don't need to be in an association to be an Anglo Indian, right?
Yeah.
What unites us? Good fun, good food,
Yeah.
a lot of music.
Yeah.
So I just want to keep it simple, if we can keep it simple, like, again, association, dues, and now politics, right?
Yeah.
I don't have, forget about the time. I just think it takes away the purpose, the intent.
It brings in paperwork.
And also a lot of drama, right?
Okay.
Just people thinking now it's official, so let me, do this or do that, and it takes away the fun. So I think I just kind of feel like let's keep it fun, as
Okay.
long as we
See that?
can,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And but I'm gonna hold you to it. You got to be there next year,
Yeah, dude.
because I mean, even if it's to bring the kids, like I was going back to the whole kids thing, right? Just so that they can experience it, like, and they'll make a lot of good friends. There's a lot of kids. How old is your daughter?
16 and 18. Daughter's 16. My son's 18.
There's a lot of kids that age there. Yeah, yeah. So and it's fun. It kind of like helps them kind of connect in a way that they can't connect with a school friend, right? Like, my daughter, she's only 6. Okay, she's already making fun of my accent. She's like,
Same here.
she's like, okay, okay. I'm like, dude, I don't talk like that. What are you doing, right? But I think just having them exposed to that culture, like, um, it adds a lot of depth, like, because, like, I don't know if what was your experience, but when I first got here and I went to get my social security number, you have to go to the social security office, right? And I look Mexican for some reason,
Me
so
too.
like, so I go there, I take my Indian passport, and I give it to him, and he's like, what was my name? Sheldon Wilkins. Huh, Indian passport.
Yeah.
Like, how did that happen? Because, they're not used to listening. For some reason, I don't know why my mother chose a Jewish name. I got a Jewish name, an Indian passport, and I'm Anglo Indian. Sheldon's such a common
Yeah.
Anglo Indian name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I go there, and he's like, how did that happen? And then it's really hard to educate
Yeah.
people here about Anglo Indian culture, because they think that Anglo Indians are just Christians in India.
Yeah. Yeah. And they probably
They
think Sheldon is your American name because your Indian name is difficult to pronounce.
My
Yeah.
pseudonym,
Yeah.
right? Right.
Yeah.
So it's funny, now it's the opposite. So when I call a call center, I say my name is Sheldon, and I know it's going to India. I say my name is Sendil. Let's make it easy for you.
Sendel.
but but
Uh,
yeah, going back to the point, it'd be awesome to have you and the kids and the wife too just experience it. Like, we even have like 40-year-olds who were born in the States. His name is Brandon White, and Keith White is his dad, who's very active. You've probably seen him. And he's not exposed to the Anglo Indian culture all his life.
oh, wow.
So in his 40s, if you go and see now, I think he posted something on the group, and he says, man, I already can't wait for the next.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, I'd love to speak to him. Like, what's his experience? Like, what was life growing up? It's like, it's
yeah,
weird to have. It's weird for your kids and my kids to be associated with this culture that is so passionate and about the culture but they're just so separated. Like, these are my people, but I'm on the outside, but I still belong. That's got to be some kind of challenge.
challenge. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And I think that's why I'm trying to do my best to preserve it from my kids, because I think being multicultural is important as the US is getting more and more diverse, right? The appreciation for outside of just being who's around you, the just understanding that, hey, there's so many different kinds of people, and you got to be more acceptive and receptive of each other's cultures. And then, hey, it's got to start at home,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
got to know, my kids still don't eat Indian food. That's a different story. If my daughter sees anything colorful,
Yeah.
she's like, that's spicy.
Mm.
So we're working towards it. I said, dude, you got to eat biryani. There's no way. No, I hate biryani. It's like, no, you have to eat it.
You said
You
bad
know,
words in the house if that's
right? But yeah, it is. It's funny. But
awesome, dude. I appreciate you so much. Looks like is that some award for your business behind you, the plaque?
Oh yeah, that's one of the INC 500 awards
Okay,
that we
nice.
got. It was the first one we got. We did it 2 years in a row, so we got a little lucky. There's my son on the side. Yeah, I don't know if you could see him, but he's right there at the corner. Yeah, I got 2 great kids. Blessed, God's been good, to us as a family, and we try to give God the glory as much as we can, and try to give back too, at the same time, and keep going.
Sure.
So
Sheldon, thank you so much, man, for joining. I know you're a busy guy.
Dude, I had such a fun
Appreciate
time chatting with you, dude. Like, we got to get together in an actual tea shop
it.
next
I
time.
know, right?
Just hang out and get to know you and your family too more. Maybe
Yeah,
I should host you next time and have you tell me your story more.
sure. Yeah, would love to, man. All the best in your in Starfigo and in your family, and especially what you're doing for the Anglos in the US. You seem to be like the oasis that everybody like. You form this oasis, and everybody's like yes, and they're finally all gathering together, and you're bringing
Yeah.
them together. Appreciate what you're doing. Best of luck, dude. We'll keep in touch.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, dude. Thank you for having me on. And again, great job with what you're doing. I'm very, very inspired by the
Sweet.
stuff you're doing. And man, like, just keep doing it. You're rocking the show. So I look forward to hearing more of your podcasts as you keep doing this. And
Yeah,
I'm going to try to subscribe to you today so that way I don't miss anything new that you post in the
dude.
future.
See you,
So
man.
take it easy, brother.
Yeah. Bye.